Hi everybody, Baruch Hashem. Today we get to start a new sikh. It's very exciting, like all of them, and they get more exciting as we go along. Anyway, this sikh it was said on the fourth yard site of the Rebbetzin, Chayah Mushka, the Rebbe's wife, Moshiach's wife, which is also the daughter of the Rebbe of the previous Rebbe's Rebbe. So as we know, it's taken with a translation called the Royal Words. It's the last year the Rebbe spoke by Eliyahu ben Yomensin, and there's a description, a link to the website where you can find the book and you can download it. If you can help pay some money for it, it'd be very good, because they really need money. Anyways, this is their pranasa. So, and we're starting on page 262. We're starting a new sikha. It says from the Sichos talks of Shabbos Yitro and the 20th of Shevat. That was Shabbos Yitro was 20th Shevat, and the night and the day the day and night. So the Rebbe spoke 3 Sichos on the second day of the week, which is Parshat Mishpatim, which is the 22nd of Shevat, 57-52. And the Rebbe spoke on Shabbos. This talk is taken from talks the Rebbe spoke on Shabbos. And then the following Monday, which is the yard site. In correlation with the fourth yard site of the Rebbetzin, Chayah Mushka, Nishmasa Aiden, Meir Gardus. Translate from Yiddish. So, number 1. The 22nd day of the month is alluded to the blessing. As alluded to is hinted to in the number Chav base. Oh, excuse me. The 22nd day of the month is connected to blessing, as alluded to in the number Chav base, that the letters of B'cha, which hints to B'cha, with B'cha Yivarach Yisrael, that in you, with you, the Jewish people are blessed. Namely, that this is a day, and that from it, and that through it, and that with it, the Jewish people are blessed in all their matters. The 22nd day, everybody's blessed. This has to do with blessing. Furthermore, the day of B'cha itself is blessed, as understood from the simple meaning of the verse. B'cha, with you, all the Jewish people blessed. The Rebbe a lot of times goes into the numbers of the month and shows how they relate to various spirit, drawing down of high levels of spirituality, godliness, into blessing to the world. And so B'cha means that with you will be blessed. He's going to show how this blessing has to do from not only just blessing you now, but all the blessings until the times of Moshiach, maybe after, forever and ever, that they come from the level of B'cha, that with you will be blessed. And this is the bracha that was given to the sons of Ephraim, the sons of Yaakov, when he passed away. He gave them to the sons of Jacob, of Yosef, Ephraim and Manasseh. Furthermore, the day of B'cha itself is blessed. Itself is blessed, as understood from the simple meaning of the verse. B'cha, with you all the Jewish people are blessed, which in this context with you means that with their blessings, with the blessings of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the Jewish people are blessed. And likewise in our case, that this was Moshe Rabbeinu said, Yaakov Avinu said when he blessed them, likewise in our case, that the day of B'cha itself is blessed, and with it, that the day, the 22nd of Shevat, we're talking about itself is a blessed day, and with this blessing the Jewish people are blessed. And all the Jewish people, not just some, but all the Jewish people, B'cha is a unique blessing, that this B'cha that with you is blessed is a unique blessing from which emerges more blessings and more blessings with no end, until the end of the Olam, the world, forever and ever, including the end of the Olam, which also world means world. The word Olam in Hebrew can mean forever and ever. And it could also mean the idea of concealment, hiddenness. So therefore, until there's no concealment, because all the evil has passed away. So the Rebbe is just talking about how special 22 is. The Rebbe looks in and sees the greatness in everything. Now we're in number 2, page 262. Likewise, it understood that regarding the day of the yard site of the 22nd of Shevat, this is the day of blessing, from which all the Jewish people are blessed. B'cha, with you, all the Jewish people are blessed. So therefore, from the 22nd, when the Rebbetzin passed away, everybody's blessed from that day, the 22nd of Shevat. For the Jewish people, a yard site is connected to ascent. What's it mean? When a person passes away, there's a level of going up. What does it mean, going up? As is emphasized in the custom, reciting Kaddish on the day of the yard site, in correlation with the new ascent and the mission high ascent that the soul attains on this day. So therefore we say a very special bracha which is called Kaddish, which is praising Hashem in many different ways. And by doing this, why do we say that? Because the soul is reaching a much higher level. So together with that, we say Kaddish for them so they can reach even a higher and higher level. This state's reaching a very high level. So what's it mean it reaches a high level? It means what in Judaism, what we're talking about, the higher you go, and especially when you're Nasi, related to everybody else, the more Hashem reveals His greatness on you and His great light and His auros and everything. And you are therefore, since the saying that you are therefore are able to bring it down into the world, and it becomes translated and comes down into the Jewish people themselves. How much time do we have?
You only 5 minutes.
Huh?
It's only 5 minutes out of it.
Oh, then I can reset this. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Sorry. Anyways. So let's go on. For the Jewish people, Yahrzeit is connected with ascent, as emphasized in the custom reciting Kaddish on the day of the Yahrzeit, in correlation to the new ascent and the immeasurable higher ascent that the soul attains in this day. Although the Yahrzeit is a day in which the soul left the body in concealment, the revelation of the Jewish soul, literally part of a God above from being revealed in the body, so therefore it's not good, because the soul was revealed in the body and bringing godliness into the world, which is the main thing. Which this is indeed the greatest concealment which can possibly be. Heaven forbid, God forbid. Nevertheless, the intention of this, that you cannot do God work in this world, the intention in this, as regarding with every descent, anytime you go down, it's always for an elevation, that it should be even a greater ascent, and every year. So therefore, Rebbe is explaining that not only even though it itself is a great descent, but it's going to reach a higher level. So how is it going to happen? So, and we said every year reach a higher level. So and every year on the Yahrzeit it attains at a higher ascent. So there's a certain level. The reason a person passed away is because he has to reach a higher level. And then every year he reaches a higher level than before, initially higher than ascents before. And ascent both, so what is this elevation? It's both for the soul as well as, so the first thing the Rebbe says, the soul of the person passed away goes to a higher level, become closer and closer to Hashem, and more Hashem is more revealed to him. But the Rebbe says now that this idea that when he goes higher, that he brings down life force and his power into this physical world, into the people involved with him, and it's translated that they're healthy and live a long life. That's then for both the soul as well as for those who are the souls and bodies in this physical world, which have a connection with the soul, namely, that they attain even more long days and good years filled with Torah and commandments and good deeds. So let's look at number 6 down below. See the letter of my father-in-law, the Rebbe, Igros Kodesh, volume 3, that through prayer for the ascent of the soul, behold, with this one gives pleasure to the soul that ascends. You're praying for him, simply. He sees you're praying, he's very happy. A Jew here is praying, a special Jew. It's part of God himself is praying for him. As an appreciation for this, behold, the souls above, so they're so happy you're praying for them. They arouse mercy for their descendants, so that they may be able to see bountiful blessings physically and spiritually. So in other words, that the soul is so happy when you pray for him, when you say Kaddish for him. So joyous. And since he's so happy and so joyous, so therefore he arouses to him and he asks Hashem to have mercy on us. And this mercy brings us more life in this physical, and good years to fulfill Torah mitzvahs in this physical world. So now we're 263, down the last paragraph. Furthermore, and mainly, so what's the main reason for all the elevations and to bring down the level of godliness more in the world? This includes the ascent and attained in the true and complete redemption, the coming Moshiach himself, both the ascent of the soul through the phenomena of arise and sing those who dwell in the lots. In other words, the soul who passed away will become back into the physical body. As to know that the ultimate perfection also of the soul is specifically souls and bodies in the era of the resurrection. So the highest level the soul can ever reach is when it comes back down in the times when the dead arise, as well as the Jewish people which had a connection to the soul. So also the one, in other words, you're tied into the soul. We're tied into the Rebbe. So anything that happens to the Rebbe has a big effect on us. Everybody's tied into the Rebbetzin. We're talking about when she comes back, she's going to be even more special. When her soul comes back, it's because that's the completion. That's the reason to come into more higher level than ever before. But this will not only affect her, it will affect everybody connected to the soul. As the verse says, death will be eliminated forever, and Hashem Elohim shall erase tears from all the faces. Nobody's going to cry. What's it mean? And it's understood that when the tears are erased by Hashem, who's erasing? Hashem himself will erase the tears. It does not only eliminate the tears that were there previously, just wipe off the tears that you're crying, as the simple concept of erasing. Rather, through this, the ascent, following the erasing the tears, attains an additional phenomena that wasn't present when there were no tears. In other words, even before he was sad and crying, and he was in a good mood and having a wonderful time with life, now he's going to have more of a wonderful time with life, because he's going to have an addition to godliness in it. As understood also in the exposition that the word dima is in Hebrew tears, has a numerical value 119, which means that one of the 120 combinations of the letters of the name Elohim is missing. Now the name Elohim has 120 letters, 120 names. By different combinations. So therefore, when you're 119, you're missing one. So if you're missing, that's the idea of tears. You're not totally with Hashem. You're missing. You're not totally tied into Hashem in a complete way. So let's look at down 11 below. It says, the explanation of this seems follows, that the word itself represents essence. So therefore it says, when you have 120, the name of Elohim is missing, and through the Hashem Elohim erasing the tears, the perfection of the 120 is attained. The numeric line, Edimra, plus the word itself. What means the word itself? The word itself represents its essence, that Hashem is the essence of everything, that when the tears is revealed, that when the tear's essence is revealed, it disappears, since the presence of Hashem is only joy. So in other words, he's saying that also the Rebbe points out that we always have to do everything with joy. Everything has to be great joy. So when the tears are wiped out with great joy, so therefore it's going to be just revealed how everything is just good, joy and goodness. Hashem erasing the tears, the perfection of 120 is attained. The numerical value Yidimo plus the word itself. And his day shall be, now the Rebbe is going to talk about, show that the days of a person is 120 years, what it means completion. And his day shall be 120 years, this brings in gracious how a person should live that long. As was regarded with Moshiach, he says, I'm 120 years old today. Today was my days and years are full. This also a quote from the Chumash. Full and complete days and years, both physically and spiritually. And the continuation of this includes the eternal life and the true and complete redemption. So once you reach this completeness, it continues forever and ever. Number 3265. This concept is especially emphasized in the yahrzeit of the daughter of my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe RaYatz, the leader of our generation, on the 22nd of Shevat, that the Frierdiker Rebbe's daughter, the Rebbe's had passed away on the 22nd of Shevat, which in addition to her own merit, she was special by herself, a special human being by herself. She also has the merit of her father, that especially it says that a daughter has a special connection with the father. It explains that the father has had more connection to his daughter, and the mother has more connection to the sons. So there's a special connection. So here she was special, and she had a special connection to the father. Not only did she have a special being his daughter, which is the Frierdiker Rebbe, but she was also educated and brought up by him and educated by him, which is even more special. So she has all these special qualities. So therefore, when she passes away, the tzaddik is going up above, is bringing down special life for all of us here. The Nasi of the generation, Nasi is an idiom for Esnasus. The word Nasi, which means the leader of the generation, it means to be elevated. The Nasi elevates the leader, the Rebbe of the generation, Rebbe Moshiach elevates. There's one person, the leader, that he elevates the entire generation. So since the leader is everything, everything is included in the leader. So Moshe Rabbeinu is everything. He's Yisrael. The Rebbe is everything. He's the Moshe Rabbeinu generation. So therefore, anything that happens to Moshe Rabbeinu, the generation, the Rebbe, since he's everything, everything moves with him. From this is understood that regarding his daughter, that the Rebbe, the Nazis, here the Rebbe is talking about the Frierdiker Rebbe, that he's the Nasi of the generations. If he goes to a higher level, everybody else affects everybody. But this is understood that regarding his daughter, that all her aspects, including and especially her passing, bring about an ascent for everybody. So therefore it's understood that that the daughter is totally tied in directly to her father, and her father's the Nasi, so anything that happens with her affects her father and affects everybody else. And especially that her yahrzeit on the 22nd of Shevat occurs in the same month of Shevat as the yahrzeit of her father, my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe, on the 10th of Shevat. So she passed away in the same Jewish month as her father. He passed away in the 10th, she passed away in the 22nd of the month, which the ascent and elevation of the leader of a generation is more revealed on the day of Hilula Yahrzeit. It says that the leader is much more revealed the day he passes away. It's known that then all his deeds, Torah study and service, which he accomplished all the days of his life, ascend and reveal below, to the extent that it works salvation in the midst of the land. In other words, what happens is that when a person passes, the tzaddik passes, when the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, he reached a much higher spiritual level, a much higher level up above, and therefore the higher he is, the more he can down below, including the ultimate. So what's the final? It should be the ultimate ascent elevation of the souls above and all the Jewish people in their physical body. It's a true and complete redemption as mentioned above. So this is the total elevation happens with the Nasi. Especially since our generation is the last generation. The Rebbe's explaining things nobody ever talked about. Such wonderful things. Especially since our generation is the last generation of the exile and the first generation of redemption. As my revered father-in-law, who loves Yahrzeit, it is announced and testified and notified many times that we have already ended everything necessary to bring Moshiach. And now the only thing left is that one accept the Moshiach actually. Hence, it is understood that if in the period in between there was an incident of passing away, as took place on the 22nd of Shevat 4 years ago in the year 5748, indeed, it is only to bring about the soul ascent, which is still necessary, the ascent of the true and complete redemption. So the Rebbe says the only reason that she passed away was to bring the final redemption, because everything else is done. So since everything is done, so the only reason she passed away was not to finish the Gullus, not to finish the work in the Gullus, but to bring the final necessary step, whatever it is, for the final and complete redemption. So let's read this over again. Especially since our generation, since us, Baruch Hashem, since it's the last generation of the exile and the first generation of redemption, as my revered father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, who it is, that it was his yahrzeit, is announced and notified many times. So what did the Frierdiker Rebbe tell everybody? That we've already ended everything necessary to bring Moshiach, and now the only thing left is to accept Moshiach action. Actually, the Frierdiker Rebbe never said this. I don't know, Rebbe's actually talking about himself. The Frierdiker Rebbe says everything's done, but we just have to polish the buttons. The Rebbe says even more. He says now this thing to accept Moshiach actually, but the Rebbe says you just have to accept Moshiach, and that itself is the final step to bring the final redemptions. Hence it is understood that in a period in between there was an incident of passing away. It took place on the 22nd of Shevat 4 years ago, the year 5748. Indeed, it is only to bring about the soul ascent which is necessary. What's still necessary? Everything's done. This is an amazing thing. Rebbe says everything's done, and the only reason Chayah Mushka passed away was to bring down the final ascent for the true and complete redemption. With this, we understand why the blessing of the day of the 22nd of Shevat is a blessing with which the Jewish people will be blessed. Why the blessings are drawn forth to every Jew and to the Jewish people in general. I'm going to start from the beginning of this paragraph. With this, we understand why the blessing of the day of the 22nd of Shevat is a blessing with which the Jewish people will be blessed. This day of the month of Shevat, everybody's blessed. The blessings which are drawn forth to every Jew and to the Jewish people in general, and especially to the Jewish women and children. You're so lucky, especially through them, conducting themselves in accordance with her instructions and examples. In other words, with the Rebbetzin, what Chayah Mushka told everybody to do and how to be, and to follow how she conducted herself. Blessings in all matters, in that we're going to blessings in everything, both physically and spiritually, as well as physically and spiritually united. Not only that separate, but they're going to be united. They become one thing. As blessings as such that it is from every blessing emerges another blessing, that the blessings in such a way that we have blessings. Those blessings just have godliness flowing more and more and more. Continue to flow the blessings of godliness of Hashem more and more. This is what this day, the 22nd of Shevat, is doing. Is has the effect on everybody. That's a level of bringing up blessings for everything. The godliness is revealed everywhere. What's mean blessings? I mean Hashem is revealed. We're here with God. We're here with good. Everything is wonderful. Since the number 4, since the yahrzeit of the 22nd of Shevat is connected to my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe of the generation, the father of the one who passed away. So therefore, this yahrzeit is tied into the Frierdiker Rebbe, her father, and especially as mentioned above, that the same month Shvat as the day when all his deeds, story, and study and service are revealed. It is understood that this day is connected to the general service of the leader of a generation. So this day, the 22nd, has to do with the general service, and automatically the entire generation, since the leader is everything, the body follows the head. So let's read this over one more time, because it's very important to understand how everything is tied in to the Rebbe. The Rebbe, when he talks about the Frierdiker, is really talking about himself. Is this thing turned on and stuff today? It's going to pick up some of that. But anyway, okay. Especially the last generation of Exxon, the first generation of redemption, as my revered father, who is it is announced and notified many times that we have done everything. Like we just did this. Let's do the next paragraph. I'm sorry. With this, we were the last second to the last paragraph before 4 and 266. With this is understood that why the blessing of the day of the 22nd Shevat is a blessing with which the Jewish people will be blessed. The blessings which are drawn forth to every Jew and to the Jewish people in general, and especially to the Jewish women and daughters, and especially through them conducting themselves in accordance with her instructions and her examples, blessing in all matters, both physically and spiritually, as well as physically and spiritually united, and blessings as such that from every blessing emerges another blessing and another blessing with no end. Now we're number 4. Since the yahrzeit of the 22nd of Shevat is connected to my revered father-in-law, the leader of the generation, the father of the one who passed away, to talk about the Rebbetzin, and especially as mentioned above, that it's the same month, Shvat, as the day of the Hula, when all the deeds and Torah studies and service are revealed. We talked about that already. Then he passed away. Everything is revealed when he passes away. It is understood that this day is connected to the general service of the leader of a generation, because the Rebbetzin is totally connected to the Frierdiker Rebbe, and so therefore everything she does has effect on the Frierdiker Rebbe also, automatically intended, and therefore this is the general, but the whole reason the Frierdiker Rebbe was to reveal and bring Gula, and her whole reason was even to bring it to a higher level. So they're both the same idea. So therefore, that is connected to this general service of the leader of a generation, and automatically the entire generation, since the leader is everything, the body follows the head. So everything's going to elevate to a higher and higher level on this day, because this the fact of her passing away created something super special that was never before in the world, and it even brought down the essence of 22 into totally revealed father. Further, together with this is understood, since the passing on the 27th Shevat was many years after the passing of her father, my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak, and it occurred on a different day, later in the month of the day of the Hula of the 10th of Shevat. She passed away was later. It is therefore understood that it is a unique matter in the continuation, in addition to it, is Hulula. So therefore, the Rebbe is saying that the 22nd of Shevat is 12 days afterwards. So here it happened later, and it happened many years later. So therefore, he says this must teach of the time. There's something special we're going to learn from this. And we may say the Rebbe is a chiddush by the Rebbe. The chiddushim the Rebbe is making, the new things the Rebbe is talking about, are amazing. That this is also alluded to in the number of the month of Shvat. Since the 11th month, in the number of the days of the month. Hold on. We may say this is also alluded to in the number of the month of Shevat, the 11th month, and in the number of the day, the 22nd day of Shevat, which occurred in continuation and surpasses the 10th of the month, the day of the leader of the generation Yosef, as we shall explain. So in other words, this happened later on in the month, and we'll explain what this means. And it's many years later. And from this, we must take a lesson in the service of our generation in particular. That being that it is the generation, we must learn something special. That being it is the generation of the leader of a generation, which the leader is everything, which is the Rebbe Moshiach, and especially a lesson regarding the service of Jewish women and daughters, since it is connected with the yahrzeit of the daughter of the leader of the leader of our generations. This is special teaching to the Jewish women. And especially that in the days in close proximity to the 22nd of Shevat, the Women's Shluchas Convention is taking place and is culminated on the 22nd of Shevat, as we will discuss further on. So the women from all around the world, the Shluchot, from all around the world come, and thousands of them, the whole 770, it's filled up with women from all around the world, and they have a conference, and they talk about, and they have meetings, and they get together and talk about how we can bring Moshiach, reveal Gula Shlema. This happens also on the 22nd of Shevat. So now the Rebbe is explaining that since it happened later, therefore it has some special meaning, and it has special meaning especially to the women. We will understand this based on the recent talks on the weekly portions Yitro. The Torah portion, the giving of Torah regarding the two matters of the reciting of the Ten Commandments. The first utterance of the commandments which were said by Hashem, and Hashem spoke all these words saying. And the second utterance of commandments which were repeated by Moshe in the Mishnah Torah. So that's like we said before, like we said in the prior class and prior share, that there are two commandments. One was said that Hashem spoke to the Jewish people. The other was repeated by Moshe Rabbeinu. There were 10 commandments repeated twice. And Hashem's, and there are two different levels. The level of Hashem spoke to the Jews people is revelation of Hashem just revealing himself totally to the Jews. Straight. And the level of Moshe Rabbeinu means he had to lessen his revelations to some degree to bring it down below. And that's the level that the idea is that therefore Moshe Rabbeinu, through doing Torah and mitzvahs, enables us to make below so beautiful and perfect that Hashem can now reveal his essence to us. And these are different levels we're going to talk about. And Hashem spoke all of these words saying that at the giving of the Torah gave the Jewish people the power to make a dwelling place for Hashem in the lowest realms. That is, in the lowest realms there should be a revelation of his essence, blessed be in his full essence. That is, Hashem should be revealed totally here. We should see everything is godliness. Everything is beautiful in Hashem. Look at, see if this will help us. Look at 24 with the star at it, down below. The lower realms are a separate thing, so to say, from the dweller himself. And you have the dweller in the house, Hashem. Even though this has an innovation, that even in the lowest realms, that even down in this physical world, there is made a dwelling place for him, blessed be he. This, however, is not as Hashem is found in his true essence. Why? Which then it would have been clear that Hashem is truly everything, including the dwelling itself. In other words, the level how Hashem and the world are one. And there's a level how Hashem is one thing and the world is a separate thing. There's a higher level. That's the highest essence. Okay. And Hashem, okay. Then this necessitates two aspects. One, the revelation of his blessed essence, Hashem reveals himself. And two, that this should be drawn down into the lowest realms. And more specifically, one, the dwelling place for him, blessed be, however, so to say, not himself. In other words, we're in this world and we stay in this world, but we're not Hashem, so to speak. And the revelation of the essence of Hashem himself. And Hashem spoke in the world, and Hashem reveals his essence. So one level is we're separate, and Hashem reveals it. And therefore, the Ten Commandments have both virtues. The first utterances of the commandments, which was said by Hashem, give the power to establish the drawing down of his blessed essence, and that Hashem spoke to the Jewish people. And the second utterance of the commandments, which were repeated through Moshe, gives the power to draw down this in the lowest realms in an internalized fashion, not through nullifying their existence due to the extraordinary revelation from above. So, we're going to go on further, but basically he's saying that with Moshe Rabbeinu, that now we're able to receive this high level of godliness, if we're ever going to explain, and remain in our body. It won't blow us out of existence, because we've done the work through the gullus, and we find ourselves that we're perfect. We're a diamond. We just have to receive the light, to shine the light out. We're all perfect diamonds nowadays. Anyway, Zygazant everybody. Tomorrow we're going to continue and learn more wonderful things. Hopefully you have learned from me. We'll learn at the base of Migdash with the Rebbe Moshiach, with everybody, your children, your parents, everybody together. And very, very right now we should go there. Zygazant.